Hey everybody, and welcome back to another how-to video. Today we're going to take a look at how to replace some of the in-game textures with some better textures. Maybe some textures that you might prefer over the in-game. And we're going to start by looking at some of the ground textures, specifically the plow, the cultivate, and the seeded texture. So here we have the default in-game plow texture over here and take a look at the default in-game cultivate texture. And just bear with me for a second as I run over here to show you the default in-game planted texture. So again, we've got the cultivation, then we've got the planted or seeded texture. All right, so we're going to go ahead and break out of the game, and we're going to talk about basically how to, one, back up your in-game textures, and then two, replace them with hopefully a set that will appeal to you a little bit more. So over at FSUK, in the download mods section, you're going to find this soil textures mod. And what you need to do is first download this to your PC. And once you've downloaded it, you will go to your downloads folder and go ahead and open up the textures.zip file, which is what was downloaded. So I've got it here in the 7-zip. And once you open that up, you'll see that there's a textures folder with some textures and whatnot. And then there is a README file. You can see the README file here basically says replace files in the data, maps, textures, terrain, ground folder, and in the source folder as well. And basically the ground and source folders that are in the download, just copy them over into the ground folder. Be sure you first back up your original files. That way you have a default base to go back to should you not like the downloaded textures. All right, so I have the Steam version of the game, and Steam installs the base game into your Steam folder. Let's get there from here, and let's show you that. So here we've got program files. Now I've got my Steam set up to install to a secondary hard drive. So we go to x86, Steam. We're going to go down here to Steam Apps, Common, and then here's all the Steam apps that I currently have installed. Go to Farming Simulator 19. And at this point, we want to follow the information here. We need to go to Data. We need to go to Maps, Textures, Terrain, and Ground. Okay, so this is where we need to be. Let's put this over here. Let's go to 7-zip. We're here. Let's go into Textures folder. So you can see we've got a ground 2 underscore diffuse, ground 2 underscore normal, ground underscore diffuse, and ground underscore normal. So we basically have these 4 files here that we're going to be replacing with these 4 files. And we go into source, and we go into source, and then we've got several files in here that we're going to be replacing also. First thing we want to do is let's go up a level, and let's just go to textures and terrain. What we're going to do is we're going to copy this, and we're going to paste it here. Let's do copy, and we're going to paste it to our desktop. See that copying there? Okay, and we're going to go in here and we're going to rename this to FS19 underscore terrain underscore backup. Okay, now we have a backup of our terrain folder. Okay, so should we mess something up, we know we'll just replace the whole terrain folder here in textures with this folder after we rename it back to terrain, and we are good to go. I'm going to go to ground and copy these. The way I like to do it is just in 7-zip, just drag and drop. I'm going to replace, yes. Okay, it has now replaced those. Let's go to source. Source, highlight those, drag and drop, place all 8, and we're done. Now let's fire up the game and see what it looks like. Alright guys, and we are back. And here we have our new plow texture. See, it's a bunch of broken ground. It's a little bit more detailed. You may or may not like this. You know, like I said, if you don't like it, no big deal. At least you're able to see it here in the video before you make the change. Or if you make the change and then decide you don't like it, well, real quick, we just copy that terrain folder back over there to the original and overwrite all those files, and we're good to go. Here we have our cultivation texture. We've kind of got some fodder or some crop debris in here mixed in. And let's run over here to the seeded area. See what the seeded section looks like. Right here it is. It's a bit flatter. We got some scattering of green in there. You can see that right here. Scattering of some plant material maybe in there. Alright, and we also have, in this how-to video, some textures to replace out our crop textures with some little higher quality, maybe a little bit more detailed crop textures. So let's go ahead and take a look at those as well. Growing wheat. Here we've got growing corn. Of course, we've got grass, bushes. Not sure if the change is going to change out the straw or not, but there we have a straw. Here we have ready to harvest oats. Okay. Run over here and take a look at some of these trees and various things. And we're going to try to jump around, see some other crop states here on the map. Trees. Okay. Let's see what other crops we might have over here. Any cotton? Down here. Here we have ready to harvest cotton. What do we else? We got sugar beets up here. We'll have to jump to those. Sugar cane on the map. Probably not. Nope. Canola. Let's just keep running through the field here and take a look at the canola. Here we have our ready to harvest canola. See if this canola up here is any different state. Sunflowers up here. Sawmill. So let us walk through this grassy area. Oh, we just have seeded. So we've got harvested sunflowers. Harvested texture without. Chop straw, and then we've got our ready to harvest sunflowers here. And let's just see what else we might. Let's just jump over here and check out one more field. We've already seen ready to harvest oats. Check out this field right here. I think is barley. Yep, ready to harvest barley. And I think what we have up here is grass. Yep, got grass. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and exit out of the game here. Show you guys on where to download these new textures from, how to install them. Then we'll jump back here in the game and we'll take a look and see how things look. So here we are back over on our desktop, and we've got Chrome pulled up, and here we are at LS Mod Company. And LS Mod Company has several texture replacement mods. In fact, there are, let's see here, 7 in total to replace in-game foliage and crop textures. You see they've got one for cotton, got one for potatoes, sugar beet, and oilseed radish, grass and acre, oats, sunflower and canola, landscape, basically trees and various things, and then wheat and barley. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through basically how to install one of these with everybody here. And then we're going to go ahead and install the rest of this texture suite. So let's take a look at our downloads folder. So here we have our downloads folder, and we've got the forgotten plants, potatoes, sugar beet, oilseed radish, cotton, landscape, oat, sunflower, canola, wheat and barley, and our grass acre. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up our oat file. Okay, so let's go to our oat download, and basically what it says is what we need to do is in the zip file there are two folders. So let's see here, we've got a foliage and a distance, correct? And what we want to do is copy the files in the foliage folder to our FarmSim 19 install path, data foliage, and we want to copy the distance folder to FarmSim 19 data foliage distance. Okay, let's go back here to our Explorer, and let's go to where our FarmSim, that's not it. Let's go to where our FarmSim 19 is. No, it's in D program files, x86, and then under Steam, because I have a Steam install, Steam apps, common, FarmSim 19. Okay, so we want to go to data and then foliage. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy this folder and make a backup. I'm going to right click and copy. I'm going to go to our desktop, right click and paste. And there we go. And we're going to basically call this FS19 underscore foliage underscore backup. We've made no changes to our foliage other than simply make a backup of it. So let's go and open that up, and here we have all kinds of texture files for all of our crops. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to copy the foliage folder here into the foliage folder over here. Let's go ahead and place this. We're going to highlight these, drag and drop it. We want to replace them. Yes. Let's go to our distance folder and let's scroll up and go to distance. And we're going to highlight these, drag it, drop it. Yes. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do this process for the other 6 versions of the Forgotten Plants mod pack, if you will. And then we'll jump back in the game and take a look and see what things look like. And just a little hiccup, not a major hiccup, but when I was copying the cotton files over, there happens to be a fill planes folder also in this pack. So basically, if we look back here under cotton, we're going to see that we also need to replace these files in the data fill planes folder. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a copy of that folder and also make a backup of it over here to our desktop. FS19 fill planes backup. And while I was looking at it, the grass and acre one also has foliage, LOD, distance, fill planes, and ground diffuse. And then landscape has us replace the data maps trees folder. Let's go to data, maps, trees. Let's copy that. Let's paste it here. And let's rename that. So we know what that is. Okay. And basically that's what we're going to do. Any folder that we haven't made a backup of, we're going to make a backup of before we put files into it and replace. So I'm going to finish this out and I'll be right back with you. Alright guys, we are back in game. And here we are with some of the new Forgotten Plants textures. One thing that the Forgotten Plants guys also do is give you new ground textures. So we've got the new seeded texture here, new cultivate texture, and we'll take a look at the plowed texture here in a little bit. But you may decide you like this one over the textures from FSUK, and if you do, that's fine. That's why we back things up. So here we've got the growing wheat, a little bit different. Got our growing corn. Some of the changes here are subtle. Some of them are pretty pronounced. We got our straw. It does indeed change the straw and hay textures when they're on the ground. Got our oats. And let's see here. Here's the new plow texture. Let's run over here and take a look at these trees, because we did replace the tree textures to both distant and close-up textures of the trees and the trunks and everything. Let's see what else. I think we came over here, and I think we looked at this tree. Well, we didn't look at it super close. Looked at some of these other trees. I guess I'm just trying to reproduce what we looked at as best I can. Frame of reference. And then when we came over here to the animal dealer and checked out our cotton. It's a little bit different. Not sure how well that's translating to you all after the video is done. Came over here and looked at our ready to harvest canola. Okay. We didn't necessarily look at the ready to harvest corn, but we can while we're over here. And we all know what corn looks like in game, right? Here we have the ready to harvest corn. Let's see here. We ran up here and we went to the first area. And we checked out oat, grass. It looks about the same. Not seeing a lot of difference in the grass itself. We have our ready to harvest barley over here. So that definitely looks different than before. And then finally we have our grass field. So we've got a wonderful field of grass. So guys, that's basically how to replace the textures in game with something that you might enjoy looking at a little bit more than what came with the game. This is a global refresh of all textures. Okay, so this will affect base maps and any map in the future that you install that uses the base textures. You can have maps that have custom crop textures and everything, foliage textures, and those will not be affected by this map or this mod. There's also some textures for various fill planes that are replaced. I'm not going to be able to show you those. There is a different texture for cotton. Let's see if I can't pull up actually the browser and show you a few pictures as we close out here. Let's pull up the browser. And so here's cotton. There's the various growth stages of the cotton harvested. And then here is the cotton bale. Okay, it looks a little bit different. Not drastic. I mean, we're not talking night and day difference here, but it does look a bit different. Grass windrow, what the mowed grass looks like. Different stages of grass. Okay. So guys, if you want to, like I said, if you want to replace your textures, you can go ahead and do so. It's not going to affect your gameplay. It's not going to keep you from joining with a multiplayer session. It's just that your screen will look a little bit different. Their screen with respect to the textures and everything. Now, I would love to be able to play with these textures, but since I'm going to be doing map videos, I am going to revert back to the base in-game textures so as to be able to basically portray to you in those particular videos how the map looks by default. But of course, do note that if you wish to change out your textures, you're more than free to do so, and hopefully this video will help you with that task. And as I said before, always back up the original folder before you make any changes. That way, if you mess up, just restore the backup on top of it, and you're good to go. So until next time, guys, happy farming.